In this one, I'm going to show you how to add ammo to your game. So a limited amount of ammo. I've decided to skip the ammo pack part of it as it makes it very long and we're running out of time. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to add ammo, add it to your overhead display, and how to make it go down to zero so when you're out of ammo you cannot shoot. So to show you how it looks right now, so I got my nice zero ammo count there, and when I get to zero you'll notice that I can not shoot anymore. So you're actually going to start off with a pre-made blender. So if I zoom in right now, I can move, I can shoot for as long as I want, okay, and I never run out of ammo. So first thing I have to do is add some properties to help us out here. So I'm going to select, not my cube, my empty object that you can see at the beginning here. Let me just zoom in here so you can see I got the empty object selected, and I have the following code, which is just left button and you shoot, okay, the ring object, which can be found in your second layer there. All right, so what I want to do is add a property. So I'm going to go to N, add a game property. I want it to be a full number. In this case, I'm going to call it ammo, and I want to start off with 30 bullets. You can start off with however many bullets you want for your game, okay? But I'm going to start with, as you can see, 30 bullets there. So what I want it to do is that every time I click my mouse, the mouse reduces my ammo by 1. So to do that, we're going to first add an actuator called a property. Let me find it there. There we go. And it's going to be my ammo. And I'm going to add -1, right? So every time my mouse left button is clicked, I fire and I get a -1. But we also only want it to fire when we have at least one or more, I guess, pieces of ammo. So over here, I'm going to add another property, and I'm going to say greater than. So when my ammo, if my ammo is greater than 0, okay, and I click, okay, this will happen. But the logic here that both of these, because there's an and here, both of these have to be true in order for my firing to happen. So if I press P right now, let's see. Okay, it just keeps on shooting, and then there we go. I am out of bullets, out of 30 bullets. All right, so that looks great, but we want to see the ammo in our overhead display. So I'm just going to name this one game, this scene. I'm going to add a new scene. I'm going to call this one ammo. And as always, we have to do the same thing. We have to add a camera. I'm going to Alt-R to make it go down. I'm going to change the view to orthographic. I'm going to move it up a little bit. I'm going to press 0 so I can see how it looks. All right. So now I'm going to add a couple little things. So in my example, I just added some display stuff, which is not very necessary, but it just makes it look a little nicer. So I'm going to add a torus. I'm going to reduce its segments here because it's way too many of them. So I'll say like 16 and 4. Because the more segments we have, the slower the game runs. So I'm going to scale it smaller. So it looks like a piece of ammo. Obviously, if your ammo looks differently, then you can change it to whatever you want. It can be the top left corner, bottom left corner, whatever you want that makes sense with your overhead display. I am going to add a material to it. In this case, I'll make it red. Why not? To match my bullets. I'm going to reduce the intensity here and make it shadeless. All right, so I have to go to Blender Game to see how it looks. There's my 0. All right, so I'm going to deselect, Shift A. I'm going to add a text. In this case, I just want to have a little X here so that it knows, so basically, how much ammo do you have? You have an equal sign if you want. Doesn't really matter. It's just what some gamers like to have with their ammo. I'm going to Alt-C it to make it a mesh so that I can add a new material. Again, I'll just make it red, reduce my intensity of and make it shadeless. So now if I press P, there it is. All right. So now I want to add text that will move. So deselect, Shift A, add text. In this case, though, I wanted to start off at 30 because that will match, remember, the 30 that I sent for this game property. Remember, I put 30 here. So that's going to make sense in my ammo that I start with 30. So I'm just going to move it to where I want. I can scale it a bit smaller. Okay. Now, I'm not able to add a material to this text. The better way to do it is go to Object and choose an object color here. So if I want everything to match, for example, okay, but you won't see it here until I press P, and then you can see it. What I found a cool little thing if you want to do it is if you go to the F up here and you want to choose a specific font, click on the folder, click on your hard drive up here, go to Library, and then you have fonts. And if you know there's a certain font that you want, you can just choose one and press Open Font, and it will come in to how this looks. Okay, so what I need now to do is have a message that when I click my left mouse button and it shoots, sends a message to this to reduce by 1. Now I haven't made the message yet, but might as well, since we're here already, set up the code for this. So we're going to add a sensor, a message sensor that's going to receive, sorry, it's hard to see here. It's going to receive a subject. Okay, but hold on. First, before I forget, I'm going to add, let me make this smaller here. I'm going to add an add game text property. I'm going to make sure it's an integer. So now this, okay, can now change. So my message I'm going to get is, let's say, fire. For example, it can be anything you want, and later on we'll make this message be sent. So when it gets the message, we want something to happen to the property. So we're going to go to Property. I want to say Add Text. So to this text property, which is 30 right now, every time we receive the message that it's been fired, a bullet has been fired, okay, we want it to reduce by 1. Okay, so that looks good. Now we go back to our game, okay, and zooming in a bit here, make sure I got my empty object selected. I now want when it gets fired, okay, that it sends a message to reduce to my thing. So I'm going to add an actuator, message, okay, and it's going to send the message fire. Okay, so now this should relate. Every time I click my mouse, as long as it's above 0, it will send a message fire that will then go to my here. Once it receives a message, it minuses this by 1. Awesome. Now the only problem though is that I haven't added my HUD. So I'm going to select my camera any way you want, and you know how to do this. You're going to do an always scene. So I'm not going to restart the scene. I'm going to add overlay scene, and I want to add the ammo scene and press P. So now if I press P, there's my ammo, and every time I shoot, there go my bullets all the way down to 0. All right, that's it. Add this to your game, and good luck.